All right, you got to bear with me. I just did this video for this unit, and I kept saying radio instead of transmitter. Okay? It's horrible that when you do a really long video and you try to explain everything in detail, and when you're old, you have a tendency to misspeak. And I kept saying this was a receiver instead of a transmitter. Now, this is an ARC-5 T-19. It's like 3 megacycles to 4 megacycles, which would be the 80-meter band. Okay? Now, a lot of people bought these. A lot of people gutted them according to the articles. Again, they gutted these. They tell you to gut certain parts out of it for the article when they should just tell you to disconnect it. Okay? They did it with the command receivers. And I had done some videos I deleted, but in other words, it's sad what they did to the receivers. Okay? They tell you to take out the audio transformer. And the audio transformer, say it's like 50,000 ohms to 15,000 ohms. And that was to use it as with a pair of headphones. So they have you take that original transformer out, throw it away, and then put a more modern transformer in there. Okay? Now, with the old transformer, all you have to do is put it on its lowest tap, take a speaker, put it in a nice box like I did back here with a power transformer, like 6.3 volt power supply transformer, just a transformer. Okay? And you put the high side to the plug and the low side to your speaker. And into this box, I have a 6.3 volt transformer. Works fine. Radio remains original. Now, same with the transmitters. They start telling you, take this, you don't need this, throw that away, blah, 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 blah. But I've done a lot of reading on this. The output tubes are in parallel. It's not a push-pull output. These units are listed as high as $1,700 on eBay in mint condition. Not worth it. These things went for $49 at fair radio sales. At the ham flea markets years ago, people would give you these for free. But a lot of guys got one of these for free, had all these big dreams, never did it, threw it out, wife threw it out, sold it, whatever happened to it. Now they're buying them up again. Now I want to tell you, this is not a good transmitter for a novice, even though all the novices were getting them. The main reason is, as a novice, do you have enough knowledge to make a power supply to run this? There is no power supply in this unit. You have to make a power supply. The second thing that happens to you is it's got a VFO in it. Okay? It has a crystal in a socket that looks like this. Okay? And what that's for is you tune the front dial to a certain frequency, whatever this frequency is, and there's a magic tube, a magic eye tube. I'll show you that in a minute. This unit is totally seized up. Nothing moves. The gears are all, this is all bodged with grease. Got no idea. But the rest, it's all here under here. Okay? It had original cover, all the screws. Okay, now let's go to the top. Now, it looks pretty disgusting, huh? I don't know if that's showing up, but the dirt on this cover or inside this cover does not match this radio. Okay? The type of greasy dirt that's on this is that of a garage where someone has worked on cars. And this, I believe, is aluminum. This thing, but yet it's got rust on it. And this case is aluminum. Where did the rust come from? I can tell you the way it's shot across here. I don't know if you can see it. A die grinder or a die grinder or a circular sander. Okay, and that's what's in here. It's probably magnetic dust with grease. Okay. The other thing that's wrong with this is this relay is no longer, whatever this is, it's no longer hooked up to anything. It's missing a roller inductor. I didn't notice it when I looked at the pictures. The roller inductor is the final connection to the antenna. So if you use a 30-foot piece of wire and it's not long enough, you dial in your inductor. Okay, it's called a roller inductor. Okay, now I have had experience with transmitters. You can fix a transmitter without a license as long as you run it into a dummy load. Okay, that means you're not transmitting. All the power is going into the output resistor, and that's how I used to fix CB radios for people. You really should have a license. This radio cannot be used by a novice, even though the novices bought it, because I'm going to go through this again. This crystal in here is to calibrate the dial. When you turn this dial to whatever frequency this is, this magic eye tube closes up. Now, then you know the front dial is calibrated. But as a novice, the FCC wants you to be under a crystal controlled transmitter. This is indirectly controlled. The crystal is telling you the calibration's still good. All right. So what they come up with, besides the power supply you're going to have to build, you're going to have to take the oscillator tube out. I don't even know if this will even come out. You take out the oscillator tube. All right. You put in an octal plug over to a chassis that has a tube and a crystal socket, so you can change your frequencies. Now, there are plans on the internet how to make a plug-in module for this unit. Okay, and then I believe you can change the crystals to the hatch on the back of this cover. Okay, let's make sure we're in frame here. The cover has a back hatch, so you can put an adapter in here, and now you could change the frequencies. All right, but what else I want to tell you? I did say I had experience with transmitters into a dummy load. Also, I worked on inductive heaters for swedging metal onto glass tubing. Couple other places. In RCA, we had high voltage test rigs, and they had an oscillator tube, and then oscillator tube fed two output tubes, which were push-pull. These both are in parallel, and then it would go to a big honking transformer, and then that would supply the high voltage to test several tubes under a load. Okay, and that's how we got our high voltage, like 30,000 volts. And lower voltages, we actually had up to 800 volts down through the wall, and then on terminals. But when you want to go up to thousands of volts, you had to have it's basically a transmitter. Okay, that's what it comes down to. Just that it's running at 15,750, like the television sets horizontal output. Now, I warned you, I might keep saying the radio instead of transmitter, but this is a transmitter, and it's an ARC-5 T-19. All right, and you know, I warned you before, and I should warn myself again about stuff on eBay. I did not see that antenna tuner, but what I do know now is all these units that have this window missing. All right, this window's missing on them. That means the final inductor to the antenna is missing. You don't want that, okay? You're never going to find one. You're never going to make one, okay? And that's the type of nonsense that goes on eBay. I haven't even opened this up yet. And I don't know. Screws over here. Okay, I don't even know. Is this the proper parts here? Okay, that's why you get the manual, but the manual's pictures are very dark. And when you finally make the plunge, you actually have to buy a unit, and then you realize what's missing, how they bodged it, you know. But all the controls on this thing are seized up. This thing sat in a basement somewhere, not a real wet basement, but there was a lot of moisture because this is probably copper, brass. Let's see if it, okay, it sticks to a magnet. So this is steel, and it's plated, but it's got pre-rust on it. But this could be from another unit. Okay, you don't know when you buy on eBay. You know, this tube's mica is darker than this tube's mica. So are these tubes the original tubes? I don't think so. You know, and I think this is just a bunch of pieces the person put together. They put it up on eBay as a buy it now. And to buy it now can trap me in. I've gotten much better on the auctions, looking at what parts are missing, really looking it over, make sure all the screws are on it. But until you actually own a unit, you don't really understand what they've taken off it. You bump into the articles that explain it. It's like, what the hell is this unit? Why isn't anything hooked to it? What does this unit actually do? It actually looks like two solenoids, and this would go up and down somehow. But where's the wires? Oh wait, maybe that's them there. Okay, they're here. So this thing, maybe when you're, who knows? I have to read up what that is. But this is totally different than other transmitters. Like, who would put a crystal in a unit and have you tune the front dial until you look down through this back plate on this cabinet? You look down through, let's see, we're in frame. You look down through here and you can see this tube. This is one of the magic eye tubes. And then you can see when it closes up that you're on frequency to the crystal. And then you look at your front dial and see if it's on the right mark. If it is, the radio's calibrated. But they don't want an amateur, a novice, to use the radio. Oh, there we go, saying radio, the transmitter in VFO mode. Okay, so you're going to have to build a power supply. You're going to have to crystallize it, making a crystal oscillator plug-in unit. And you're going to have to know how to repair it if something's wrong with it. And trust me, I want to tell you, a receiver is one thing, but a transmitter is something else. If you got a bad part and you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to get that transmitter working. Okay, I bought this just to keep me busy, and it's basically hilarious at this point that everything's seized up, nothing moves, and I'll take a little part. I'm so happy all the knobs seem to be original knobs. All right, but will the knobs come off? I've had other radios. A guy sold me a radio that had a mouse nest in it, and he basically told me he'd send me my money back. He kept, I paid the shipping. He knew the mouse was in there, or the mouse nest was in there. He wasn't sure. Yeah. So anyway, he told me I could keep it, and he wrote me back. He said you could scrap it out. There's a lot of aluminum in it. It was a BC348, and all the knobs on the front were impossible to get off. He knew that. Okay. He didn't bother scrapping the radio out or the tubes because there was mouse piss all through the thing. But that's the kind of stuff you're going to get. This is a radio from World War II. And if you want to toy with them, you better have read the manuals. You better, watch my video all the way through. And I'm just telling you this based on a person that knows basic transmitters. There's other guy on there, I was watching this video, just spray some deox on it. Deox is not going to help this thing. This thing needs to be taken apart. And this looks botched. I don't know what this is, but it's going to be interesting for me. Oh, and this, I said it was probably around a die grinder. This is an aluminum chassis, and there's a spray of rust across this, like it shot out of a die grinder. So this has been in a garage where somebody's worked on cars. I recognize this dust. I just do, from my friends who worked on cars. And it's got an oil and dust to it, and it's really a pain in the ass to clean. If you take everything apart and buff it up, it's a piece of cake, but that's what I have to do with this. This thing has to come apart. And, I think that's it. All right, that's it.